Hi everyone, in this video I am going to share my entire 2 years of experience at Aditya Birla Group because today is 8th of June 2022, which marks 2 years of my corporate career anniversary. So 8th of June 2020 was the first day when I entered my corporate life, and it felt as if I'm just going to my new phase of career itself. And you can see the t-shirt itself, it's Aditya Birla Group's leadership program, so I'm just wearing this in order to show tribute to my organization. And it's like I'm really grateful to this organization in order to give me the exposure, which I'm just going to share it in the form of a video. So 8th of June 2020 was the first day when I just entered my corporate life. It was work from home because of the COVID pandemic. But even the exposure which was given to me during that work from home stint was at par with the exposure which I would have it gotten in the work from office stint. So first day, 8th of June 2020, I still remember my manager calling me and he was stating that you need to understand all these SEBI, LODR and ICDR regulations and just check what are the criteria in order for an entity to list. So before Googling, he just asked me whether you know them or not. And I was like, I've read them long back, but I don't remember it as of now. And he was like, you should be prepared and you should just come with full preparation in terms of entering into a corporate life. And I was very nervous at that point of time because it was my first day. And I still remember that I was scolded by my manager in terms of not remembering or maybe not knowing these provisions before entering into my corporate career. But it's fine. Actually, one lesson which my first manager taught me was that you can never ever succeed in your life if you're just going to get spoon-fed by anyone. You have to ensure that you are trying to solve your own problems. And as you all know, there's a concept called as baptism by fire. So baptism by fire is a term wherein an employee joins an organization and the manager is not willing to help in every problem which the employee is going to face. And the employee is just given a problem statement by the manager, and the expectations of the manager are that employees should just talk to their friends, colleagues, just Google the problem or just try to get the solution anyhow without just interfering in manager's life. So that's the concept of baptism by fire, and this type of concept really makes you courageous, bold, and it just prepares you as a person in order to tackle new challenges and grab new opportunities in your life. My first stint was with Aditya Birla Capital, where my role was to identify those NBFCs, non-banking financial companies, and HFCs, the housing finance companies, which Aditya Birla Capital as an entity can acquire or can merge with. There was another task which was given to me, that is in order to analyze some business correspondents. Basically, business correspondents are the people who just ensure retail presence of a bank or an NBFC is improved. So for example, if there is a bank and it wants to increase its retail presence in a tier 3 or tier 4 city, instead of just opening a new branch in that city, it will appoint some business correspondents who would be acting as some agents of these banks, and these agents would just sell loans of these banks or NBFCs to the tier 3 or tier 4 cities people. So that's the task which was given to me, and I had to analyze a lot of business correspondents with whom we can partner, with whom we can integrate, and that was one of the major projects in that stint. And one of the other projects in that stint was peer benchmarking, where I was supposed to identify all the key ratios like net interest margin, cost income ratios, the NPA ratios, and all the key parameters with which an NBFC is evaluated as compared to other NBFCs. So Aditya Birla Capital's NBFCs has its competitors like Bajaj Finance or Cholamandalam Finance, IIFL Finance, etc. Then even the HFCs has various competitors. The life insurance, health insurance businesses have various competitors. So I was supposed to do a competitors benchmarking in terms of where Aditya Birla Group's companies rank in terms of these competitors. So that was like one of the tasks which was given to me. So my first stint got over in September 2020. Then my second stint was there, which was in corporate finance group. This was one of the best stints and I think I've enjoyed the most. Here the work profile was in order to do mergers and acquisitions transactions of the group companies. If there's any kind of deal happening, that has to go through corporate finance department. So I've been involved in a lot of various transactions. I've also been involved in the rights issue which was going on. I was also involved in transactions where a company had to acquire another company and all these transactions which were there. So this was like the major task, which was like getting involved in the deals and helping with all the consideration, documentation stages, etc. And minor tasks were also there, like preparing the daily capital market update report, where I had to update the entire sheet from Bloomberg terminal and had to circulate it to all the employees of Aditya Birla Group in terms of what is the market cap of these companies, what are the market cap of other companies, then what is the price earnings, price to book ratio of our companies versus the other competitors' companies, etc. And there are also other minor tasks where I had to update the investor presentation of Aditya Birla Group and I had to update it on a quarterly basis. So that was also one of the key tasks, and I think this stint was one of the best across all the three stints. And my third stint was in company of Louis Philippe, where I was required to handle what are the loss-making stores of Louis Philippe, and I had to identify what are the reasons that why these stores are loss-making and why other stores are profit-making. So I did not go to Bangalore, but I visited some branches of Louis Philippe which were in Nasik, and I tried to analyze and I tried to talk to customers who were visiting Louis Philippe that what do they like about Louis Philippe, what are some of the areas of improvement which we can do as a brand as compared to competitors. And it was a pure groundwork, and I think this really helped me in order to understand what customers think about the product and the brand. So basically you shouldn't think that koi bhi kaam chota ya bada hai. Every work is unique in its own way. Even if you're given some operational role, you should ensure that you're going to give your best in order to complete that role. So this was like a short stint of 4 months each again, but this was very relaxing in terms of not tiring at all. And then I was placed in my final role as an executive assistant to the chief economist of Aditya Birla Group, Dr. Ajit Ranade. This was again a 6-month stint where I had to prepare various economic research notes in order to circulate it to all ABG employees. Then I had to prepare some good podcast with Dr. Ranade, who's the chief economist, in order to disseminate to all the employees of Aditya Birla Group. There were projects like forecasting of all the necessary outputs or inputs which are used by group companies. For example, I did a forecasting of prices of pulp and fiber for the next 3 years basis some research reports, basis some regression analysis. I was also involved in a project where we had to analyze the cotton prices and even the prices of all the other fibers like polyester, viscose, etc. And we had to give the forecasts and predictions for the near future. That is the job of an economist, to be honest. These were the day-to-day activities in the year to chief economist role. And again, there were other activities like managing tasks of the chief economist in terms of preparing minutes of board meetings wherever he's attending, preparing some briefing notes for him before he's attending any kind of board meeting, then helping him write some research articles in Live Mint, Economic Times, Times of India, etc. So this was a pure research stint where I had to read a lot and I had to ensure that I was always on my toes in order to understand what's going on in the economy. That was a stint at the corporate economics cell, which it is popularly called as, and I think I had thoroughly enjoyed a lot in that stint as well. And the final role which is going now, which is the Aditya Birla Ventures role, again it's very lucrative in terms of talking to a lot of startup founders, preparing the investment committee decks, presenting it to the investment committee, and then finally getting the investment committee approval as well. So here the role is extremely dynamic, and here you have to be on your toes in order to understand where the deal is going on. You have to just catch that startup founder's hand, and you have to ensure that you're brought on the cap table as well. So this stint really helped me in order to develop that entrepreneurial mindset, because I am given the freedom in order to understand and analyze what kind of startups can we invest in and what are the startups or what are the sectors where we are bullish on. So if I like any startup, if I'm bullish on any sector, I can directly reach out to the startup founder, get on an introductory call one-on-one, and if I like it, I can take it ahead to my team, and then we can present to the investment committee. So just to give you a brief background, investment committee is basically, it comprises of several people who give the approval of investing in any startup. So if we form our analysis and if we think that this is a good investment, then we have to take it to the investment committee, who will act like an independent director. So जैसे listed company के board पे independent directors होते हैं, venture capital funds के case में वो investment committee के members होते हैं. So they are unbiased and they are independent directors, and they vouch for the accuracy and validity and verification of all the startups which we have bought. And if they think that this is a good investment, they'll cross question a lot. If they think it's a good investment, after receiving their approval, then only we'll invest in the startup. So that's a typical process which happens in any venture capital fund. And there's this model of 2 and 20 usually which happens in a venture capital fund, which is like there are limited partners, then there are general partners. So general partners are the ones who are actively involved in the day-to-day operations of the venture capital fund, and general partners get 2% of the commission of all the amounts which the limited partners have invested in the fund. तो लिमिटेड पार्टनर्स होते हैं वो पैसा डालते हैं फंड में, जनरल पार्टनर्स होते हैं जो कि एक्टिवली इन्वॉल्व होते हैं जो भी फंड में ट्रांजैक्शंस हो रहे हैं, एंड जनरल पार्टनर्स गेट 2% ऑफ व्हाटएवर इज इन्वेस्टेड इन देम प्लस 20% कैरी होता है. तो अगर कोई भी स्टार्टअप में गेन हुआ है, कैपिटल गेन्स, इसका 20% जाएगा जनरल पार्टनर्स को एंड 80% विल गो टू द लिमिटेड पार्टनर्स. दिस इज हाउ अ टिपिकल वेंचर कैपिटल फंड स्ट्रक्चर वर्क. एंड देन देयर आर एम्प्लॉइज, लेट्स से 6 to 7 employees or 15 to 20 employees who are on fixed salary, fixed payroll basis, who are given their salaries. So this is about the venture capital thing, and I think I'm thoroughly enjoying whatever work I've been given, and the exposure which I've got in this company, it's just tremendous. And I think if you really want to apply in this company, of course you should just check out and reach out to the HR, but more than that you should ensure that what you want to do ultimately. So it's like if you want to have that exposure of, let's say, working in a manufacturing industry or just having a diverse exposure of working in various different companies, then I think this is the best place for you. But just be clear what you want to achieve ultimately. So I've been extremely grateful to Aditya Birla Group in terms of providing me these opportunities, and I'm absolutely glad that I've got this opportunity to work with senior leaders of Aditya Birla Group just at the age of 22 and 23, right at the beginning of my career itself, which I think will really help me as a person in order to grow in the future. Because the people whom you stay with, you just try to imbibe their qualities and their characteristics. So that is what I try to imbibe from any person whom I meet, and I try to ensure that everyone I meet would be smarter than me in some or the other sense. So that's the thought process which I go with while meeting any person, and that's the thought process which you should also apply in terms of learning learning something new from each and every person every different day. So I think that's it for this. So today is again the 8th of June 2022, marks my 2 years of anniversary at Aditya Birla Group, but I have been extremely grateful to this beautiful organization. So I hope you could learn something from this video. If you really like this video, share it with all your friends, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel so that I can create more videos for all of you. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you in the next video.